It's Linda MacPhee's workshop. Here's Linda.
You hear that peppy music and you know it's time for the show. And the show is Linda MacPhee's workshop, and it's all about my place here and all the fun things that we can do in it. In all my travels across the country, people do often look at my garments and say, that woman's got a little glitz on her garment. How does she do that? How do we get kind of the glitz going? That's one of the things we're going to show you today. And helping me is Sandra MacDonald, so I'm glad that you're here. And I know you're kind of keen on this kind of stuff and wondering, is that right?
I sure am. I'm excited to be here, Linda.
And
Thank
I know
you.
that you do jewelry and you do all kinds of art things as well. So this could just be one more thing that you could do to add to all the other things, which and certainly quilters, people that make quilts, put this on quilts. There's lots of ways to glitz things up. And I think the joy of what's going to happen is that if you don't sew, it doesn't matter. You could go and buy a garment and put this on. So non-sewers unite, because this is your program.
Sounds great.
Okay,
This looks like a lot of fun.
Let's have a look. We've got models, and
Okay.
let's have a look. So here we go. And this is one of the simplest things. This is called iron-on top stitching, and I actually kind of developed this. It's just ironed on. It's you don't have to paint that. You don't have to do it. It comes in a strip.
It comes like that?
And you just iron it. So here's our jean jacket. And it does kind of just jazz up that.
It does. Look at how it hits the light. I really like that.
And it washes beautifully. So that is one very simple thing.
Fabulous.
Okay, let's have a look at the next. Thank you. And here we go. And this is a jacket that we made, and we did this foiling. We did that with you, a bit ago. Do you remember? We did the bleaching, I mean. There's the white stuff is the bleaching. And then we thought the bleaching wasn't quite enough, so let's do some foil. So all this kind of shiny, shimmery stuff is all the foil. So this could have been done with embroidery, but we kind of thought, well, why don't we just play it all? You could do some embroidery as well. You could do some free motion.
Okay.
I mean, there's no end to the game. So here's the back, totally bleached and foiled.
Fabulous. Just
all
fabulous.
right, here we go, one more time. And this fabric, I thought, was quite outstanding. So you really do have to kind of look at this closely.
How did you do that?
So, the fabric actually is something that looks like doodles. It's black and white fabric, and then we colored it. And this is really your equivalent to paint by number. You really just color it, and then we foil it, all the different colors. When you see this, and when you sort of move a little bit, you'll see the shine.
Shining.
It just kind of moves.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So you want to do one of those?
I do.
Okay. The one I've got on actually has a bunch of this stuff on it as well. If you look at this.
Have you done it? But it's not quite the same.
No, the fabric wasn't the same, but this had some stuff on it.
Okay.
And I said, well, let's put some more stuff on it. And by putting more stuff on it, you get more effects. I mean, there's no, especially if you dribbled on something, this would be a good one to add some more things to, because you could cover up anything.
There's nothing.
There
you
is
can do whatever.
Exactly. There are no rules. Have you figured that one out?
That is fun. I like no rules.
Yes, exactly. So this is what the fabric for that last jacket looks like. So it's kind of neat, because when I saw this, I said, this just looks like the doodle art that people used to do.
So anybody could
absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you've got a functioning hand, I think you can do this.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to put the medium on there. And it's a special medium that does let you adhere the foil to it. Okay. You have foil like this, and this is not your wrapping paper foil. This is a special foil that you use. You use this stuff, which is the stuff that it sticks to.
Now, so you put the glue down.
Okay, let's just do it.
All right.
So we could take this, and here we go. We could just start to color. And what I do is just start to color. Just take these lines and just kind of let this, I could color all over it. I can go outside the lines. That doesn't make any difference. I could just color.
Again, you said no rules, so however you want to do it.
In fact, this is sometimes getting a little bit thick. It doesn't matter how thick or how thin. You want this to dry before you foil it. So the thicker it is, the longer it's going to take to dry.
So the longer you have to wait.
Yes. So if you want to do it fine, you could then, and we do have these little nibs, and you could put a little nib on it, and that's going to change the whole thing to be quite fine. So now if I want to make a fine line here, there we go. I could just do that very finely, and I could get some very intricate.
You sure can.
And in fact, I could do all these little intricate things here, and I could make it look almost like I've stitched it. It really can be very fine, and so I could.
That is great.
So this is just coloring. So you can.
What if you made a mistake? And
actually,
you don't have to make a mistake.
no,
with the
but
glue.
you could go. I could take this and wash it right out now. It's water soluble while it's wet.
Okay.
Once it's dry, it's permanent. One thing, do wash out your nibs because they could get plugged up. So I could take this
and
nib
then you
off and
can't
wash
use
it. So, okay, so this, and don't get this on something else because once it dries,
It's there.
doesn't come out.
Okay.
So we'll put that over there in the corner. How about, because it is wet. But by the magic of television, I have one done.
Oh,
so,
serious?
and this one we put on fairly thick, so
Okay.
it doesn't absolutely dry, but it's dry. It's almost feels a little tacky.
Right,
That's the
it
way
does.
it goes.
Okay.
So that one is already, it's a bit ugly like this, but let's show you what it becomes. So we'll take it over, put your iron on just a medium temperature.
A medium,
just
okay.
medium. And then pick a color from all your foils. So let me see. Actually, this is kind of a good example because I've used this a number of times. If you look at this, each time I use it, it'll pull off a little bit of foil, but I can reuse it over and over and over.
So which side do you put down?
Put the colored side up like
Okay,
this.
color side up.
And I could maybe use a section that I haven't used so much of, but it'll still work fine. So I'll put that colored side up. And then I always think it's a good idea to use your press cloth, your see-through
Right.
press cloth.
Don't want to get glue on your iron.
Yeah, and you wouldn't, but anytime you're dealing with this kind of stuff,
Okay.
just let's protect it. And I kind of like to iron with my iron kind of on the side a little bit, like dig right in, because I've kind of got texture, I've kind of got different things happening, so if I kind of just, you can just hold it, you can just go like this.
Okay.
You don't really need to rub it. I was rubbing it, but that's just habit. So, and
It won't. It doesn't matter though.
no, it
so
doesn't
you won't
matter.
hurt it.
And so you would then, this of course you use over and over and
Right.
over, and you let this cool. And that's probably the most painful part of this process, is letting it cool. And once it cools, I can pull that away,
Oh wow.
and it is stuck to the adhesive. So in the case of that jacket,
Right.
I wanted different colors. So I then say, oh, well, let's put some gold on there. So then I can take the gold, put it down, and I could actually do it right on top of the other because I probably didn't hit all those little
Okay.
areas. And then I can hit some other areas. So just kind of dig in there and dig in there, and I'll get a little bit of gold going on this.
So
Okay.
anybody could do this.
Absolutely. I mean,
Anybody.
children would have
Yes,
lots of
they
fun
would,
with this.
especially with
In fact,
the
on your
putting
blue
the glue.
jeans and down the side of the blue jeans. It is very washable. That is the exciting part, is that
That's-
you can put it on your jeans and wash and wash and wash. So here we go with a little bit of gold. So now, you see, we've got a little bit of gold where the red was, and now we've got some gold happening. So now I could take another color and start going in here, and
So we have lots of different colors
lots of
that we
different
can
colors,
add to
and
it.
this stuff just keeps going and going. So that's basically what this is all about.
Okay.
So then let me show you some other applications, because I said there's probably more ways than just taking this tube and squirting
Right.
it. You could stamp it. So let's take one. Well, this is one of my stamp ideas. You could use a rubber stamp. That would be a
Okay.
good idea. But then I'm always wanting to make my own stamp. Like, you could look for months to find the perfect stamp. So I
Right.
said, well, could we not cut it out of, used to be a styrofoam meat tray, so could we
What
not
a good
cut
idea.
that out? So if I take my scissors and cut this out, now I've got a leaf stamp.
And
Just-
everybody has meat trays.
Everybody has this. Well, maybe vegetarians don't.
Well, that's
But,
true.
yes.
That's true.
But they
Most
could borrow
people-
one. They
yeah,
could
that's
borrow
right.
one.
That's right.
Okay, so what I just do with this is just take my fingernail and kind of score. I mean, there's styluses and things to do this, but if you don't have anything, just use your fingernail.
Or what? You could probably use a pen, or
Pen or pencil or whatever, and you're just kind of making it uneven. You're making
Right.
it so that the glue will sort of sit.
Okay.
Then you're going to put this glue on it, and I put it on with a paintbrush.
Okay.
Paint it on, and plop, and now we've got glue wherever. It'll be in this design. And then you take and let that dry, and then iron it. And here we have, with the silver, you can see just a little subtle,
Very nice. So what kind of material can you do this on?
pretty well anything.
Anything?
This is slinky. I mean, it's got give. It works so well with that. So that works. Here's another one with the stamp. So here's what it looked like unstamped. Here's what it looks like stamped.
What a difference.
Then I put it with some Sherpa. I mean, you can
Okay.
put on this. I put it with the quilting, because here's all the stitching, and then we stamped some stuff with the stitching,
Right.
especially for the quilters if they've
Oh,
got
it's
some
beautiful.
kind of something that's not quite so perfect.
Yes.
Stamp it. Or here's another quilting design. Here's a fabric. So are you set to do this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get at it. All right. It is just fast and fun.
Okay.
So don't go away. We've got to stop now, but don't go away because we'll be right back with more good stuff. Before we went to break, I showed you this jean jacket. We had it on one of the models, and this top stitching is rather, I think, spectacular. It's just got a little bit of glitz. It looks like it must be very hard to do, but of course it's very easy. So it comes in a sheet like this in gold or silver, and of course you don't stick each one of those on separately. No, 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 no. It's a lot easier. So you're going to just cut out a long strip, and you can cut right between these lines, so you can see there's a lot of top stitching on something like this. So then all you do is put it down, and actually you can see it better on the garment. You can put it down. I could top stitch right along that edge if I wanted, wherever I wanted. This is all straight and evenly spaced, so it's wonderful. So to put it on, I'll just put it with the plastic side up, and I'll iron it for about 10 seconds. And my iron isn't really plugged in, so I really can't get it to stay, but that's all that I'll do, and put it about 10 seconds. Once that cools, I'll pull that off. And I've got top stitching all over. This washes. It stays beautifully. It looks great. It's just instant. But we're not talking about top stitching. I'm talking about decorating today. And Susan Wells, it's great to have you.
Oh, wonderful to be here again.
You answer all my questions about decorating. Could you use some of this top stitching in some decorating?
Well,
I bet
yeah,
you could.
Of course, all kinds of places.
Because we're talking about bedrooms, and a little glitz in the bedroom's not all bad.
And we're going to talk about the hottest thing in bedrooms right now.
Okay, and what is that?
Upholstered headboards. You see them in every decorating magazine.
Okay, this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll see them all over the place. Traditionally, they're only made by professionals, but of course, we're going to find an easier, quicker, faster way to do it.
And I know this fabric comes already quilted like this, doesn't it?
Yes, but you could use anything at all,
Yes,
and just depending on the room that you might want to do.
And this,
Now,
it's light. It's
It's
light.
light well, because it's kind of fake. Real headboards are made with plywood, which just weighs so much money.
Yeah, like that falls down and you're...
Well, to install on the wall is difficult, and most ladies don't want to be trying to take a jigsaw and cutting out heavy plywood, so I found an easier way to do it. This particular style is a combination of a padded headboard. You could have just the padding going around to the back with no wood trim. In your own particular home, you would take some wood trim if you wanted it, and just mount that on the wall first, and then the headboard just goes in between
In fact,
it.
what I see right away, then I could have a number of these. I could change.
You could change with the seasons.
I think the thing about decorating is that people fix up their house and then they leave it for 30 years. Me, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So
that's right.
But it's kind of nice to jazz the place up.
Well, we are going to romance the room.
Well, this
Could
hold
you use
up?
a little romance? That's just too personal. And what were you going to say, Linda?
I said, will this hold up? I mean, is this?
Well, I'm going to show you a great way. And I don't know about your bedroom, Linda, but
in yours it holds
in my bedroom it holds up more than enough.
Okay, that's.
And if yours doesn't, then you need to see someone else.
Okay. Okay, you can't help me with that. Okay.
All right.
So what do we do?
Well,
let me just get this stuff out of
Yeah,
the
and
way.
the materials are so easy, Linda. And you know what? Your first headboard will look custom quality because we don't want a hokey, homemadey look with any of our decorating projects. Now, instead of the heavy plywood, I love hanging out at those men's stores, like hardware stores, and it's not for the men. Instead of wood, you might recognize this, Linda.
This would be insulation.
Insulation that you build your house with. Now you need the pink or the blue. The white will just chip off. And this comes 8 feet long by 2 feet wide. And we're going to substitute using wood with this. And it's going to make it easy to cut, easy to staple into, and easy to install.
Sounds good to me.
And if you have an average bedroom, it will not come down crashing down on you.
Okay.
Okay, now the first thing you do is, because it's only 2 feet wide, and when you get it from the store, it's easily cut with one of those razor knives or X-Acto knives, right? And if you have to piece 2 pieces, like an 8-foot piece, you could cut in 2. I love Weld-Bond glue. It's dirt cheap. You put a bead of it in between, butt it up, and I just press some straight pins in on an angle. And you know what?
Kind of keep it.
Put it all the way in. That will just fortify it right in there, and then you've got your one piece to work with.
So have glue and stapler, I bet.
Yeah, and boy, most ladies hate those heavy-duty staplers. Have you noticed this one looks a little bit different?
Yeah, I haven't, but this does look kind of neat.
It's called a power shot, and most hardware stores have them.
So am I going to staple
Now,
this?
this is some thick batting, and just cut out to the edge. You can even have it wrap around if you like. So why don't you would only staple a couple of times, Linda,
down here?
For the batting, and just push. See,
yeah.
Right, just one hand to push.
Yeah.
Now, if you didn't want the wood trim, or no matter what, you could take your fabric, and your batting only needs just about 3-4 staples to hold it in. You can make that as thick as you like.
Sure.
And nothing more than taking your fabric, and then you would turn, of course, the back of it over and staple. Now, I think the one mistake that people might make is they want to pull. As you're stapling and you do a few on each side, it's more of a smoothing and pressing. And because you're stapling into here, now, if you had to pull the staples out of wood, it would be so difficult. So if you found it didn't look quite right, it easily comes out. And, of course, the staples are all to the back anyway. And the fabric wraps around.
Would I finish off that back, or I just put it on the wall?
Well, no, you don't need to finish off the back, because who's going to see it,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Now we've got to talk about putting it on the wall.
Okay.
And because even a large piece only weighs ounces, you know how you can see that adhesive back Velcro everywhere? You would put a couple of adhesive back Velcro strips on the wall. And if you want, you could even staple to the wall. That would be easier to take off without damaging the wall. But press the adhesive back, just a couple of strips lining it up roughly in the same area. You take that lightweight headboard, press it onto those couple of strips of Velcro, and voila, you have a brand new bedroom. You could do it tonight. Even tonight, and romance your room.
Oh, lovely. Okay, we've got to take a break, but we're going to have more stuff, so don't go away. We're back, and Susan, you were just telling me how simple it is to do this headboard, and I can see by the back of it, it's just a matter of bringing it up, isn't it?
And stapling, of course.
I like what you've done here. You've got a little bit of reinforcing on that.
Yeah, just a little bit of reinforcing where we've glued that.
Good old duct tape. And I think you said the staples are quite important.
It's good to have nice long staples, and that little jagged seal tile edge just kind of helps hold it in all the more.
Yeah, that really does hold it well. So I can see that, and this is beautiful. Okay.
And gorgeous fabric, too, Linda.
I think that's, this doesn't take much fabric.
No, it's really nice. A lot of times people walk away, they find the perfect fabric in the store, and they don't buy it because it costs too much money.
Like it would be the duvet, the blah, blah.
And the window covering. So I say, just get a little bit of that expensive fabric and maybe do the headboard and perhaps a pillow or two, and do the big stuff, the duvet, the window, and less expensive.
Yes.
And you know what? A little bit of expensive fabric, that gives you the punch that you need.
Oh, I think. Yes. Okay, so this is one headboard. You've got another one here, and I think this is kind of, these are small, but you can imagine them big, obviously.
And in my book, actually, I show how to do different styles and shapes so you can get different looks.
Go on,
Can you imagine in a child's room doing an animal shape?
Yes.
With a leopard kind of print or whatever, so there's all kinds of things you can do.
I also like the way you put the piping on here.
Yeah, just a bit of piping to outline the edge.
Stapled on there. I like that.
Everything's easy to do.
I can't do that when I do my garments, but this whole business of decorating can be quite a lot of glue and staples.
And some of these headboards are even no-sew as well.
Yeah. So this look is quite
I love it. Now, we've just got a little sample headboard here, and the pillows are just to show how when you tie it in with the rest of the look of the bedroom, it really
pillows
is
really do look good. I'm always amused when I go into some of these fancy bedrooms that you can't even find the bed. They're all full of pillows. It does look rather inviting.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, this is further showing you how to romance your room.
Okay.
All right.
I'm all for it.
Now, most people, when they look at this, go, oh, my goodness, I can't even think of trying to figure out the shape and how to cut the curve on here, right?
I would say that is the biggest issue there. Yes.
Well, of course, everything we do in the Decorating Coach series has to be quick and easy. So this is really quite deceptive. It's nothing more than a rectangular piece of fabric.
So you'd start out with a rectangle
that
is twice that distance, I bet.
Yeah, twice the circumference and then the length, and just give yourself just enough fabric to wrap around the back.
Okay.
And I like using the headboard that is 3/4, the insulation 3/4 of an inch deep.
I like that you're calling it headboard already. It's
actually
insulation.
Well, it is insulation, our fake little headboard. Because then what we're going to do, and you can see with this style, I have actually here got, again, some adhesive back Velcro, and you press the Velcro to the top edge.
And the Velcro's got glue on it already.
It's already adhesive back, that's right.
And you buy these in, this kind of stuff in...
Oh, the fabric stores and even the hardware stores as well have them.
Sure.
So you've got this rectangular piece of fabric.
Yes.
And this is 2-cord shearing tape, but you notice that it's actually Velcro back.
When you say shearing tape, that's the stuff that you put at the top of curtains and you pull, and it makes it all gathered.
It gathers it for you.
Yeah.
So you're going to lay it flat. What you would do is turn under the 1/2 inch to just finish your fabric edge. 2 stitches, top and bottom edge. And of course, it's nothing more than a rectangular piece of fabric.
Right.
And then you actually pull this. This is actually idiot-proof.
I can see that.
Not to insult you or anyone else, Linda.
No.
Because you just pull it and then press it on and it fits. There's nothing that can go wrong with this.
I like that. You can just gather it or ungather it as much or as little
just
as
make
you
it
need.
fit. And then you've got all this loose fabric, which you're just going to
down
take
here.
one little bit at a time and just pull it to create slight tension. And you can wrap it around to the back, and you can pin it, or you can just staple it again, just trim off the edge, and that I just think that this sunburst style is absolutely gorgeous. And again,
well, there's so many fabrics. The glistening, I mean, in this kind of glistening kind of fabric, that would be just so
any soft
rich.
fabric would be absolutely wonderful. In a child's room, you could actually have strips of different colored fabric and almost have a rainbow effect. I mean, it just gets nutty after a while. You can't quit.
Well, I can see when you start working on a bedroom and a theme, you know, this matches this. I see that you've done cushions then to match this.
Tied in.
So,
and really, your bedroom should be the hottest room in the house, don't you think?
Yeah. So how do we do that? So then I think, actually, I like the idea of people that don't sew making cushions because, I mean, it needs to be just a rectangle and another rectangle. So
yes. And one little tip, when I go in someone's house, I know right away it's a homemade cushion. I think, how could you get that wrong? People make pillow cushions and covers the same way they do fabric. And, you know, where you have seam allowance and a little bit of ease in your fabric. Yeah. If your pillow form is 18 inches, the fabric is 18 inches. No ease at all. Another little tip, you know how the corners tend to get flat and looking? Yeah. Round your corners so that the fill goes into it. It makes it easier to put the piping on, but I put all my square pillows slightly rounded so that the fill goes into it as well. And of course, trims. Just adding trims that here and there does so much to make something come alive. Cover a button.
This is one piece of fabric, so you didn't have to even do that. I think that's rather nice because that looks like you put a piece of trim on there.
Yeah, and actually that is just the style of the fabric. In this one, we kind of give it a little bit of a different look with just this mitered center, but that is all the same piece going across.
So again, I think buy your more expensive fabric for this and then piece together. I would probably be piecing together my leftovers.
Get your remnants, and then in the larger things like your window coverings, and of course we did those grommet draperies, which were behind the bed, which are wonderful with this look as well.
That's true. Let's go back. Well, actually, here's another cushion, and I like this little cushion too because this is just...
The beaded trim is so hot, isn't it, Linda?
Yeah.
And actually, it's almost like cutting out your fabric and making a mistake and cutting it out a little too long, right?
Yeah.
And so initially, that was just stitched together, and of course, beading can be easily incorporated, and get the pillow in there, and then your last stitching is just to stitch across and then flap that over. And just a wonderful look as well, tying that in.
Yeah.
So just remember, you go to the your regular hardware store. I did have the manager of one hardware store come up and say, what the heck is going on? I've had 50 women in this week, and they all want one sheet of insulation.
One sheet only.
And I figure since it's 8 feet long and I can't get it in my car and we have to trim it, I might as well get them to trim it at the right size. And so they always feel sorry for me. And I just get them to take it measured across 4 feet. And with the 3/4 inch, you just you run that razor knife through it, and it can even break apart after that.
And now there'll be 30 million women going in asking for one sheet. Oh,
insulation. And just remember, you install this always the same way. A couple of strips of Velcro across the back, and you can take and just even staple it to the wall so you're not really damaging your wall. Press it on, and in the average home, maybe not yours, this will hold up to any.
Okay, this is wonderful. Have glue and stapler will travel. So we're out of time. Thank you so much, Susan. This has been wonderful. You got to join me again next time, and we'll have Linda MacPhee's workshop all over again.
To receive the companion book for this series, send $19.98 to the address on your screen or call 1-888-MacPhee.